The 1997 FIM Motorcycle World Championships are ready to be launched. Once again, the most skilled riders are about to start providing one of the most exciting shows on earth. The series lineup counts stars coming from 13 countries, with the first stop of the 15-round calendar in Malaysia on April the 13th. From then on, the competitors in the 3 Grand Prix classes, 500, 250 and 125cc, will cover thousands of kilometres before this year's world champions will be crowned on or before the last event of the season in Australia on October the 5th. But there's still a long way to go before that final race. So first of all, and following a winter of intensive testing and development for all of the Grand Prix teams, it's time to take a look at some of the machines and riders who will figure heavily in the 1997 World Championships, as well as the results from that winter testing. No doubt about who the #1 candidate to the 500cc title is. 31-year-old Australian Michael Doohan has everything to be the man to beat by any other contenders who have the world crown as an immediate target. 3 world titles, 34 Grand Prix victories and 9 years of 500cc experience are the Repsol Honda man's strongest weapons. Even if 1997 could be his last year in racing, Doohan still, as ever, wants to win. Whatever he keeps saying about his goals and about the pressure being off, everyone in the Grand Prix world is convinced that Mick Doohan is going to fight for every victory and ultimately for the championship.
You know, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve a year ago, you know, winning 2 championships. So really, I just want to have fun, try and win some races. But basically, the pressure's off now. You know, I don't feel I need to prove anything to anyone. And or let alone myself, and that's the way I've always been. It's not so much proved to other people, but to myself that I could do it, and I proved that 2 years ago that I could do it, and so now really I'm just enjoying myself. This year is all about trying to have fun and win races.
Despite his words, Doohan has prepared himself as much as possible. His fitness has never been as good, and mentally, the threat of young generations has given him that extra motivation to go out and beat them. To prove that while he keeps racing, he's going to be a tough rival, Mick wants to push himself beyond last year's limits, and to do so, he's thinking of using a new engine. Different to the Big Bang one that powered his NSR 500 in previous seasons, and similar to the generation of motors that were used by 500cc machines in the late 80s. If Doohan wants to change a well-proven combination, it means that it may give him some benefit. But how can this new engine improve on an almost unbeatable duo? Doohan wouldn't say much.
The way the power is delivered, basically, the power is a little bit more fierce, perhaps, the way the power is delivered. Without giving away too much, that's basically about all I can say.
Doohan's seek of perfection may have something to do with last year's close racing against his teammate Alex Crivier, who again is seen as the Australian's main rival for 1997. Nevertheless, Doohan has not only focused on the Spaniard, but expects other riders to push him hard in the races.
Yeah, you know, again, the same as I say pretty much every year, that you really can't predict who's going to be doing well. You know, the obvious ones are sure Alex and probably a couple of other guys, but basically I've just got to look after my own interests and prepare myself. And if there's other guys doing well, we've got to kind of challenge that at the time. But at the moment, we just got to take it one race at a time.
Despite Doohan's words and considering the possibility of new surprises, the big challenger at the beginning of the season has to be Alex Crivier. The 27-year-old Spaniard, runner-up to Doohan in '96, showed a big improvement throughout last year's championship, where he bagged 2 victories. For 1997, Crivier has prepared himself extremely well, conscious that his goal is the 500cc world title and that it won't be easy to beat his own teammate.
Well, last year I finished second, and of course this year my aim is to try to be a champion, no? But for sure that it will be difficult because everybody is going very, very fast, and also Mick is fast, no? So, but I think we have possibilities to be there and to try to win.
Crevier will be riding the NSR Repsol Honda, fitted with the same Big Bang engine that took him to success in the past season. He's ready for the new showdowns against Doohan, and if both riders are as aggressive as they were in 1996, the 500 World Championship will provide some thrilling action. Just sit back for 5 minutes to remember and enjoy the highlights of last season. We've seen it in those images, and the statistics tell it all too. Honda riders won 13 out of 15 500cc Grand Prix races, with just 2 Yamaha victories by Noricabe and Loris Capirossi. Things are not likely to change much in 1997 with Doohan and Crevier as the main favourites, but other Honda riders like Tadayuki Okada, Carlos Checa, Alberto Puig or Alex Barros are ready to take the benefit of riding the best Grand Prix bike at the moment. But the competition doesn't stand still. All the other manufacturers and teams have made moves towards the final goal of beating Honda. Probably the most outstanding machine for a very long time has to do with Team Marlboro-Roberts. King Kenny has parted with Yamaha after almost 20 years of successful collaboration and has created a new machine to compete in the 500cc World Championship. The new model, called the Medenas KR3, is not a common one. Once he decided to start his own adventure as a manufacturer, Kenny Roberts has preferred to take a revolutionary path and, after making a joint venture with the experienced Formula One gurus at Tom Walkinshaw Racing, his choice has been to build a 3-cylinder machine. The idea of Roberts and his people is to reach the perfect balance between weight and power, considering that the well-known V4s are far too heavy and that the new V-twin concept lacks the power at many tracks. The new Medenas KR3 has been entirely designed by Team Roberts and TWR engineers in the new workshop that the team has in Banbury, England. During the months of hard work, they've been developing both the engine and the chassis before finally the bike was born on a racetrack at the beginning of 1997.
It's small. It feels like a 250 with 500 horsepower, so it's going to be interesting. It's exciting.
Roberts' bet may seem quite hazardous. No one knows how competitive the Medenas KR3 is going to be. The information about its performances during pre-season testing have been very little. The whole project has grown amongst much secrecy before its public launch on the internet of all places. But when the king has made this decision, it means that you must keep an eye on the red and white Medenas KR3.
Well, there's some very good points on the bike. We haven't got a chance to run as many laps as we want to, but already from talking to Jean-Michel, I think it's going to be what we want it to be for handling. We've got some reliability things and little tweaks that we've got to get out of the engine, but basically we're pretty happy.
Frenchman Jean-Michel Bayle and American Kenny Roberts Jr. are the riders in charge of developing and improving this dream that has become a reality. Both seem to be optimistic facing their difficult challenge, despite not knowing how competitive the 3-cylinder bike is until that first practice session for the Malaysian Grand Prix at Shah Alam.
Surprising because, you know, first time the bike is on a dry track and with a slick tire on it. So, but, feeling is great. The position on the bike is perfect and the chassis feels very good. For sure, we're still testing a lot of things on the engine, so we lose a lot of time, but, we have to go through this, before the first real test in Malaysia. So, but I think it's going to be a great bike and a great chassis.
28-year-old Bayle starts his second 500cc season, and despite some interesting performances through 1996, he still looks for his first Grand Prix victory. Last year he secured his first ever pole position at the Czech Grand Prix and showed his potential in other races, but it lacked consistency. Nevertheless, the former motocross ace has rekindled a new interest for 500cc racing in France. His teammate still only has 13 500cc races under his belt, but even as the eldest son of Kenny Roberts, he will be one of the youngest men on a 500cc bike. At only 23, KR-JR, like Bayle, also faces his second season in the Premier class. Last year, he showed a clear and constant improvement, but still needs to demonstrate that he can be one of the world title challengers in the future. That will come with time, but the thing that no one can doubt is that he wants to do well, even if the new Medenas KR3 may be a handicap at the beginning of the season. If Team Roberts' new 3-cylinder bike is expected to be the big question mark in this year's 500cc World Championship, the strongest candidate to compete very closely to the all-dominating Hondas is the very mate that Kenny Roberts has left behind. Yamaha's hard winter work shows that they are not looking to the past, but very much into the future. Two teams are carrying the Yamaha flag into 1997, and both of them are quite young in the 500cc arena. Wayne Rainey's squad has just 1 year of racing in the top class, whilst Team Promotor makes its debut this season, despite a good background and experience in superbikes. The theoretical number one of the Yamaha squad should be Norifumi Abe. The young Japanese ace is the man nominated to threaten Doohan and Crivier, trying to overcome the Honda onslaught. He did it last year in Suzuka, when he clearly beat all the opposition, something he wants to do more often this season.
This is, I hope many times wins. Also, every race, top 3.
Abe's main concern so far has been his lack of consistency, which at times was even inexplicable for Kenny Roberts, his former team manager. Now, the 21-year-old Japanese is working closely with Wayne Rainey to make the step forward, something that was shown in pre-season testing, but is not yet fulfilled. But if Abe doesn't achieve what Yamaha expects from him, there's a second strong weapon coming from the same manufacturer. Despite riding for a different team, Luca Cadalora is back with Yamaha, having signed at the end of 1996 a profitable contract with the rookie squad of Promotor Racing. It's been quite a different winter for the veteran Italian, whose 96 season was full of ups and downs, mainly caused by the lack of financial resources in the team. Luca is now happily concentrating only on his riding and forgetting all about that desperate search for money.
That's for sure. That make me pleased of racing again, and that is something that give me a great support mentally also, and that from Yamaha and from promoter team that trust me pretty well.
Cadalora won 2 races last year, riding the NSR Honda tuned by Irv Kanemoto. He finished 3rd in the championship. These results and the experience of 13 years of Grand Prix racing, including 3 world titles in the smaller classes, gives Cadalora the undeniable label of title candidate. Nevertheless, he doesn't want to be obsessed by the final goal.
Well, I think we have to enjoy every time and every test, and look forward for doing the best possible. So we will see. I don't want to say nothing at this moment. Just enjoy riding again and go to the race.
33-year-old Cadalora again has the chance to get his name in the record books of motorcycling. If he adds the 500cc title to his 250 and 125 championships, he'll be the second man, after Phil Reed, to do so since the World Championship started in 1949. Both Cadalora and his team have covered many kilometres during winter testing, and the results seem to be quite encouraging. The second rider of Promotor Racing is a Grand Prix newcomer, but he's still got the status of a motorcycling star. Australian Troy Corser is the current World Superbike champion, but he's not going to defend his title this year. The mature young man prefers to move up to the highest level of racing on 2 wheels, following many of his countrymen into Grand Prix racing. Everything is different in Corser's new life, and he's trying to adapt himself as quickly as possible, but without running before he can walk. First of all, he needs to get used to his new motorcycle.
He's very different. He's very much lighter. It handles a lot differently. The engine characteristic is very fast, accelerating this from nothing. Very, very fast and very hard power. Where the Ducati was a little slower out of the corners. You use the torque of the engine. And I pretty much had to change my style completely to ride the 500, but this is probably what's taken me the longest, is just to change my style of how I ride through a corner and out of a corner. On the 500 you spin the rear tyre quite a lot.
Corser doesn't want to fix a goal for his first Grand Prix year, but he and the Promotor Racing team are thinking of some success by the end of the season. If the rider has the skill, the team has the resources and capacity, and the bike seems to be competitive, then why not? During pre-season testing, the improvement of this combination has been continuous. Considering that Michael Doohan must be Australia's #1 favourite, one of Troy Corser's interests is probably to be the second best rider in his country. But he is not the only one from down under eyeing the top spots, as two more top Australians are the lineup of the factory-backed Team Lucky Strike Suzuki. One of them is a well-established man in the World Championship, Daryl Beattie, who faces a very important season in his racing career. The other one is a rookie, Anthony Gobert, who wants to astonish the Grand Prix world right from the beginning. Beattie's task is not easy, though. After a disastrous 1996 season in which he suffered several serious injuries, he needs to recover mentally in order to be back at the top level that carried him to the runner-up spot in 1995.
It's obviously good to be back, riding again. I've spent the last sort of 3 or 4 months in fitness training and physical training and trying to prepare myself again for the tests, and physically I probably feel better than what I did through the last season. But as far as the riding goes, the things are coming together. We've had a test in Sydney. We're at Phillip Island now, and every time I get on the bike and every day we get back out there, things are coming around, and I'm sure by the time April comes we'll be up to speed and ready to go.
But Beattie's performances are still uncertain, and still he's got another concern, because the Suzuki RGV 500 was not very competitive last season, leaving the team without a win for the first time in a very long time. For Anthony Gobert, things aren't going to be easy either. He replaces American Scott Russell and is reputed to be one of the wildest riders in superbikes for the past years. And as every rider that has moved from one category to another, he will need time to get himself into it. But time is something that the team doesn't have. They need good results, and quickly too. For Gobert, this just adds even more pressure to his responsibility.
I'd like to try and be in the top 5 at most of the start of the season, and try and finish in the top 5. I want to try and even go better than that. I want to try and be world champion if I can the first year, but it all depends on sort of the time on the machine and the experience with the circuits and everything, so we'll just play it by ear and hopefully top 5.
Maybe trying to learn too fast, 22-year-old Gobert crashed several times and injured himself in pre-season testing, but he is likely to be ready to start his Grand Prix racing career in Malaysia. With the arrival of Gobert and Corser, in addition to Doohan and Beattie, Australia becomes the most powerful nation in 500cc racing. Their anthem will probably be heard often, but there's another country willing to be the leader. Spain, too, presents a very strong lineup, with at least 3 riders that have shown themselves as potential Grand Prix winners and title contenders. One, as mentioned, is Alex Crivier, whilst the others are teammates in Sito Pons's Movistar Honda squad, Alberto Puig and Carlos Checa. Sito Pons has had a tough winter trying to find a new sponsor to replace Fortuna. The most important national team has finally survived, and with the backing of Movistar, one of Spain's mobile telephone operators, its potential has been multiplied. The first demonstration of this new era for Team Pons was its public presentation in Barcelona, built up with all the concept of a Hollywood gala. Puig and Checa start the 1997 season with level positions. There's no #1 in the team, and both could be strong threats to the factory Hondas. Their own machines are NSR 500s, and in winter testing they've achieved outstanding performances, especially in the IRTA tests at Jerez. Alberto Puig has forgotten the terrible accident in Le Mans 2 years ago that seriously injured his left leg. After more than 10 operations, and after last season as a transition year, he's ready to fight back where he left off.
Well, I think I'm getting better with my leg, and I had surgery this winter, and I think for this year it's going to be easier for me to ride the bike, because I have a little bit more of the movement in my ankle, and sensibility is coming back slowly, but coming back.
and I think I can do it much better than last year.
30-year-old Puig thinks he can be the world champion, and so does his teammate. The young Carlos Checa surprised the Grand Prix world by winning his home race at Catalonia in 1996, and since then seems to have matured and improved a great deal. He could be one of the surprises of the 500cc World Championship.
I feel good because the bike is better than last year. It's very easy for driving, and I have more confidence with the team, with the bike, and I think so. I improve a little bit, and maybe I can get more best results than last year.
Checa is only 24, and his strength points to the future. The same thing can be said about Sete Gibernau, another young Spaniard, also 24, who is signed by Wayne Rady to ride one of the factory Yamahas, creating one of the major surprises during the off-season. Gibernau has no experience on a 500cc bike, but he was discovered in Spain by a certain King Kenny Roberts, so he must offer something interesting. In 1996, his first year of 250cc Grand Prix racing, he never achieved brilliant results, but to be fair with Rainey's new recruit, he didn't really ride a good machine. Sete convinced the former triple world champion by the way he worked when he was upgraded from a standard Honda to the factory Yamaha that Tetsuya Harada abandoned midway through 1996. For Gibernau, 1997 well and truly is a learning year.
I feel okay. This is a big opportunity that Yamaha and Wayne Rainey has given me, and I'm real happy for it. And I hope I can work hard enough to actually get there with them guys. And I hope it's gonna be a great year for us.
There's still a fifth Spanish rider on a factory bike in this year's 500cc World Championship. Juan Bautista Borja continues to develop the ELF 500, trying to turn the European machine into a true challenger to the Japanese hierarchy. But the job seems to be far from fulfilled. The bike hasn't shown yet the whole potential that was expected when it was first launched in 1996. Throughout last season, the ELF 500 was not competitive, despite a good progression. The tests with the new Big Bang engine were not completely satisfactory, and from what has been seen during pre-season testing, the team led by Serge Rosset and Urs Wenger has still got a long way to go before success. They need to find some more reliability and performance from their machine. Number 2 in the ELF 500 squad is German Jürgen Fuchs, who replaces the Swiss Adrian Bossard and moves up from the 250s. The change for the 31-year-old ex-HB Honda man hasn't been easy though. After achieving many successes late in his racing career, he was 4th in the 1996 250 Championship, Fuchs faces a new challenge. The beginnings though have been as tough as he has found it both hard to adapt himself to a 500 and having to deal with the wild engine of the ELF 500. Several heavy crashes have shown him how difficult it's going to be for him this season. There's another European maker that dreams of bringing to an end the Japanese era in the 500cc class. Since the Yamaha-mounted Giacomo Agostini broke MV Augusta's domination in 1975, all the world titles have travelled to the country of the rising sun, and Aprilia's ambition is to recover part of the protagonism for Europe. The factory from Noal has already achieved a leading role in the 2 smaller classes, but their attack to the Premier class still lacks success despite some good but inconsistent performances. 1997 is the 3rd year for the revolutionary V-twin designed by Jan Witteveen, and it seems that the bike has found some engine power and reliability to add to what is already its best advantages, handling and corner speed. In fact, what started as a 400cc engine has already been upgraded to a 470cc engine, which could make it much more competitive against the more powerful V4s. The problem now for Aprilia is with the riders. Doriano Romboni, who did some encouraging improvements last season, especially in qualifying, is still injured, and his wrist is taking much more time than expected to heal. So, for the first 2 or 3 races, he will be replaced by Alessandro Gramini, the former 125 world champion. With the dominant V4s, Roberts' 3-cylinder and the V-twins, there's a complete choice of different engine concepts in this year's 500cc lineup. The V-twin idea continues to be followed by Honda, whose 2-cylinder machine, ridden by Tadayuki Okada, scored 3 top 3 finishes and 1 pole position in 1996, their first year. And despite Okada being a 500cc rookie, he was close to victory in some races. For 1997, though, Okada's spot is taken by another promising Japanese, Takuma Aoki. The middle of the Fireball brothers has already showed his potential as a wild card in the last 3 Japanese Grand Prix. But now he's been granted a big opportunity. The bike's good, we already know that. So with Takuma being fast and aggressive, this could be a threatening combination. But despite Takuma as the factory V-twin rider, he's not the only man on board one of these machines. Honda's project with the 2-cylinder was always to build a bike for customers, and they've sold 3 of them for 1997. Nobawatsu Aoki, the elder brother, has moved up from the 250s and has one of them, so we may see some interesting battles between the 2 brothers. Another of the V-twins goes to Brazilian Alex Barros, who could be the one pushing the bike to its limits. The 27-year-old from Sao Paulo is a Grand Prix winner and a constant visitor to the podium. Last year he finished 4th in the final championship standings, and he's backed by his 10 years of Grand Prix racing experience. He will be racing in the new Gresini team, led by former 125cc world champion Fausto Gresini. The 3rd V-twin will be in the hands of Frenchman Regis Laconi, who moves up from the 250cc class. For all these riders, riding Honda's V-twin is a relatively cheap way of having competitive equipment. And, why not, maybe one of them can follow in the footsteps of their predecessor, Tadayuki Okada, and score some good results before deserving a factory V4 NSR. The 30-year-old Japanese finished 7th in last year's championship in what was his debut in the 500cc class. He was probably the major surprise of the season in the Premier category, especially being on pole for the first race in Malaysia. Now he wants to improve, and that means fight for victories, although very few people have nominated him when they have to list their pre-season favourites. Okada will be the 3rd man in the HRC squad, and he'll be riding the same bike as Dounas Crivier, so keep an eye on the silent Japanese. If Okada may be the surprising title challenger this year, Jean-Philippe Rougier, one of his old 250cc rivals, also wants to star in the 500cc class, despite his bike not being one of the powerful factory Hondas, but one of the last rock Yamahas that still survive in the 500cc lineup. For many years, the Rocks as well as the Harris were the lonely islands in the Japanese ocean called 500. These bikes, built in France or in England with Yamaha engines, were the only chance for privateers to compete against the powerful Japanese factories. But now, with the reduced grids and the arrival of Aprilia, Elf and Modena's KR3, their roles have been reduced to nothing in the case of Harris and just to 4 bikes for the Rock. For the 250cc class, the previous seasons were a little predictable with Biaggi and Aprilia's clear domination. But in 1997, the World Championship looks to have had its doors blown off by all the changes happening during the off-season period. Many changes have extended the list of potentially strong contenders for the title, and we've already seen much of that in winter testing. Max Biaggi, the 3-time world champion, is again the #1 star of the 250s. He could not find a door that opened in the 500cc class, and so has had no option but to stay in 250. He didn't agree terms with Aprilia, the team with whom he won those 3 titles, and has returned to Honda, the make he last rode in 1993. Biaggi is back in Irv Kanemoto's team, who have stepped down from the 500cc class in 1997, and this time the Italian will be in new colours from what we have previously seen him. Marlboro's red and white will adorn Biaggi this season, so it's new colours, new team, and new bike for Biaggi. What a difficult challenge for the 25-year-old Roman Emperor.
We are not 100% like last year, because I changed team and also bike, and I think we need some time to improve our setting, all the setup, the team even, it's new, all the member of the team, the person are new, so we need, to create the harmony in the team, and I think we can do it. We need only time, and then for sure we are there.
Obviously, the most difficult thing for Biaggi in his ambition of reaching a 4th consecutive world crown will be to get himself used to the new bike. Max steps off what was really his Aprilia to another machine, and throughout pre-season testing, he's already seen that life isn't going to be easy. It's a long way from the bike he rode for the last 3 seasons.
It's complete two different kind of bike. One is disc valve, the other is rear valve, and also the Honda bike is very small. It's very difficult to try to look for the best setup, and the other one, because maybe I already know this bike from the last 3 years, and I need more time to get the experience information from on the bike. But still, I'm quite confident because every time we go on the racetrack, we learn something. That's, the most important thing for us.
For 1997, Biaggi will have to forget his easy domination of late, and despite his progression in testing, he won't have such an advantage when the season starts in Shah Alam. Mad Max realises that he'll have to work harder than ever to keep his number 1 at the front of the field. It may not be easy at times to extend his winning record beyond the 24 ins that he has at the moment.
Well, should be more close race compared to last year, because also not just Max Biaggi changed bike, also Harada and Capirossi they go back to the 250. One change from Yamaha to Aprilia, and I think maybe nobody can use 100% the bike, and it's gonna be nice show to see, and also very tough race until the end, I'm sure.
But if for Biaggi 1997 means a new life, it also does for Aprilia, the Italian manufacturer having actually multiplied its effort into 2 machines with an all-new rider lineup. Loris Capirossi and Tetsuya Harada are in charge of showing that the past success is due to the bike and not the man. Both of them are making unexpected changes in their career to carry the flag of Aprilia in the close fight against Honda in the 250cc class. Capirossi, lucky winner of the last 500cc race in 1996, comes back to the class that saw him as a title contender last in 1994. The 24-year-old from Riolo Terme, already a double 125 world champion, wants to complete what is unfinished business in his record book. He was also convinced to do so by a big buck 3-year contract from Aprilia, the factory desperate to have an Italian star in their team.
The last year for me, sure, so difficult year. And the last race I win, but this is not so important because Aprilia coming to me and is asked the freest contract, and this is so important. And now I won't try to win the world champion because I arrive so close in the 94, but it's not possible win. And stay 2 years in 250 and go again in 500 with Aprilia.
Capirossi's teammate in the Works Aprilia team is the 1993 250cc world champion, Japanese ace Tetsuya Harada, who was so controversially dropped from the Works Yamaha 250 squad last year after losing motivation as the season went on. Many were scathing of him for being unprofessional in 1996 after a big accident at Suzuka that sparked Harada to go off form. Rated by many as one of the riders on a level with Biaggi's talent, Harada is now, along with Capirossi, on a machine that is perceived as the best 250 around. The cheerful Japanese is happy and he smiles again.
Aprilia is very good bike. Also, tire, Dunlop tire very good. I like Aprilia bike, also Dunlop tire.
There are 7 other Aprilias in the 250 entry list, but only one of them has the status of a factory-supported machine. Riding it, but in a different team, will be 125cc graduate Stefano Perugini, winner of 3 Grand Prix last year, but with a reputation for being very temperamental. He's gone well in testing, but then we'll see when it comes to the races, although 1997 is a learning season for the 22-year-old rookie. I feel good. Certainly the top riders are very fast, but they were also fast in the 125s. So in 250 I have to go fast, but step by step I'll get there. However, as the Aprilia propaganda machine goes to work with their testing results from Shah Alam and Phillip Island, it was actually a Honda that was flying in the pre-season IRTA test at Jerez when neither Capirossi or Harada attended. The strong Honda lineup for 1997 includes 6 factory NSRs, and not only the number 1 of Max Biaggi. As one of the few riders that are staying with the same make of machine for 1997, it is Ralph Waldman that looks to ram home any advantage he can before the others catch up. Last year, the bike was not to his liking at the start of the season, but then it materialised into winning 4 races. So with a new Honda NSR 250 from Japan, on which he already feels happy, things are looking good for the 30-year-old German, who was 3rd in the championship in 95 and 2nd in 96.
I think it's a very good bike. It's much better than the old one. When we get the old one, we have many problems. But we're getting the new one and we have not so much problems, and this makes me confident. Only most of the chassis is different. They want to make it stiffer for braking and make it better for higher corner speed. And the engine is nearly the same. It's not big different.
Another Honda-mounted man has the advantage of keeping the same machinery as in 1996. Olivier Jacques, along with fellow countryman Jean-Michel Bayle, has been responsible for stirring up the Grand Prix motorcycling passions once more in France. It's hardly surprising too. The Rookie of the Year in 1995, who eventually won his first race in Rio in 96, is a candidate for every victory in 97, although he still doesn't seem to be completely happy with the changes on his new NSR.
Disons que oui, c'est un avantage de... Oui et non, parce que...
So far, the things are not perfect. We have some slight problems with the chassis, and we're trying to sort them out, but I hope everything will be okay soon.
Et d'extérieur, on ne peut pas noter de différence, mais au niveau du châssis, elle se comporte différemment. Donc, en fait, on repart un petit peu à zéro.
The 4th Honda candidate, after Biaggi, Waldman and Jack, is the one that no one considers too much. But Japanese star Toru Ukawa dreams with the world title as much as his fellow Honda mates. In 1996, his first Grand Prix season, he paid the price of the rookies, crashing too often but not knowing most of the racetracks. He still finished a very impressive 5th in the championship. 23-year-old Ukawa is the only 100% factory Honda rider, and being Japanese, he will probably be preferred by the manufacturer even more than Biaggi. But there's another young Japanese who can shadow Ukawa as the favourite. Haruchika Aoki is not defending his #1 spot among the 125s, but still, he is certainly a #1 in his country. The smallest of the famous Fireball brothers moves up to the 250cc class and has deserved a factory NSR right from the beginning. He is ambitious, but also realises that he's not going to renew his winning record immediately. He's only 21 years old and is not in a hurry. Yet.
Yeah. Like, first time school, you know.
Haru Aoki will meet 2 of his ancient 125 rivals. One, we've already talked about him, is Stefano Perugini. The other one is Spaniard Emilio Altamora, winner of last year's Dutch TT. He too will be riding one of the exclusive NSRs, but as he's had a tough winter trying to complete his budget, the 23-year-old Spaniard starts with the disadvantage of having had very little time on his new bike before the first Grand Prix. It's a big opportunity to have an official bike. Honda has got an official bike for me of the 6 official bikes there are on the World Championship, and there is an opportunity of doing well. To show that I can be in front throughout the World Championship, that is my objective. So, we've had a look over the strong Aprilia and Honda lineups. It's difficult to think that any other manufacturer will be able of mixing themselves in the fight between the 2 big makers of this 250cc class. In fact, no one even thinks of a 1997 world champion not included in the 6-name list formed by Biaggi, Waldman, Ukawa, Jacques, Capirossi and Harada. But both Yamaha and Suzuki want to have a go. After the failure of their 250 project in 1996 with Wayne Rainey's team and Tetsuya Harada, Yamaha is reducing its involvement this season. But nevertheless, there will be 3 Yamahas on the starting grid of the World Championship in Shah Alam. They will be in the hands of Spaniards Luis Dantin, who was 6th in last year's series, another Spaniard Jose Luis Cardoso, and Italian rookie Franco Battiani. On the other hand, Suzuki will enter the full 1997 World Championship after having restricted recent 250 outings just to a Japanese Grand Prix wildcard entry. But at the same time, they were particularly successful there in 1996, where they were only beaten by Biaggi. Then it was Noriyasu Numata piloting the machine. It will be him and British star Jamie Robinson who will take Suzuki to their 1997 250 season. The factory-backed squad is based in the Netherlands and managed by Ari Molenaar, who took Haru Aoki to 125cc glory for the last 2 years. Now it's the turn of Numata, another aggressive and skilled Japanese rider who has a long experience in his national championship, but just about to start his international career. For Robinson, British 250cc champion in 1995, the chance of a season-long works bike is something that dreams are made of, but Jamie isn't overawed by it, just looking forward to getting on the bike. It's not going to be easy though, only the tyres are the same from the bike he rode last year, so it's going to be very hard work initially.
I had a difficult season last year. I learnt a lot, but I still had a difficult season with the bike breaking down or whatever reason. So I think this year, with me knowing the circuits more and having a good team behind me, I think I can do a lot better job. And I believe in myself, and I think that as long as I get on with the bike well and I work well with the team, then for sure my results will be better.
The return of Suzuki is certainly one of the expected returnees in this year's 250 Championship. There's other new things in the shape of rookie rider called Curtis Roberts. He's not the only rider to start his Grand Prix career, but his surname puts him directly in the spotlight. Curtis is the middle son of Kenny Roberts and follows in the footsteps of the legendary triple 500cc champion and of his elder brother, Kenny Jr. For the new member of the racing saga, who will ride a private Aprilia, there's plenty of responsibility in his new job.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's very exciting to join as the second Roberts, you know, that's racing in the Grand Prix right now, and to try and get what my father has reached. You know, the World Championship would be, you know, a great dream. To win the championship would be very good.
Curtis Roberts' goal is to get himself in the top 10 of this very competitive 250 class. But he's not the only rider to want to do so. Many others would like to score the results to be up front, just behind the powerful factory machines. People like Italian Luca Boscoscuro, Argentina's Sebastian Porto, Japanese aces Osamu Miyazaki, Takahashi Sujimura, or Britain's Jeremy McWilliams, who's returning to a 250 bike that suits him better than a 500. All of them want to shine right from the start of the first race in Malaysia. 125cc class is ready for exciting, unpredictable races, those to be decided in the last corner between a heavy barrage of riders fighting it right to the limit. This is a championship with many Japanese riders vying for the top. However, there are beginning to be signs of the European riders fighting back in this, the class that pretty well guarantees a thrilling race at every Grand Prix. It has been Honda who have won the Manufacturers' Championship 7 times over the last 8 years. Aprilia took the Manufacturers' title in 1996. There's again a big fight prepared between these two factories in the smallest class. The Japanese maker is probably going to struggle initially, as the ace that they have always had up their sleeve has gone to 250s, Haruchika Aoki of course. So this is the only class not to include the defending world champion. So the 125s have been flung open, or has it? Aoki is not the only one to move up, so too have done 2 other top names of last year's 125s like Altamora and Perugini. So the best money now has got to be with Masaki Tokidome, the cool 26-year-old who finished second in last year's standings. As the winner of 4 races in '96, he was actually the most frequent visitor to the top step of the podium last year, and staying with the same machine, although in a different team, it will be business as usual for Tokidome. It won't be bad at all for him.
I try to get world champion, but you know, everybody, every year same, because for this year, Altamora, Aoki, Perugini went to 250 plus, but we have still Martinez, Rossi, Manako, Sakata, so anyway, we have a big fight in 125cc class.
Other Aprilia veterans may have a word to say too. 1994 champion Kazuto Sakata and German Peter Oertel, for example. They're always possible GP winners. The super veteran Jorge Martinez Aspar could also be a real championship threat, though after annihilating the Jerez lap record in testing. The 34-year-old Spaniard has already won 4 championships in the 80 and 125cc class, as well as 37 GPs. But he's still hungry for wins. It looks really good, like it hasn't been for many years, because we've been able to test a lot. We've tested many new things, and I think we've almost done 4,000 kilometers, which I think is basically the best thing to do to get to the first race with maximum options. The 125s, in fact, are always a generation battle. In front of the veterans, a bunch of new kids want to achieve success as quickly as possible. The colourful Valentino Rossi has already been taken to heart in the world of enthusiasts who follow Grand Prix racing. Having won his first Grand Prix last year when he was only 17, the world now lies at his feet. And with a Works Aprilia neatly lined up for 1997, many people think that he can win the world title in the 125s. He uses amazing lines through the corners, but somehow it seems to work. Another fast teenager is Ivan Goy, also a Grand Prix winner in 1996. He's moved from a Honda to an Aprilia, and his full potential is still to be seen. The 17-year-old Italian is in the same team as Australian Gary McCoy, who won the last thrilling GP of 1996 on his own turf. He, again on an Aprilia, is in with a shout of a couple of wins and a strong championship finish if he keeps that late-season form from last year. The strong Aprilia lineup leaves Honda's attack to be left with Tomomi Manako, third last year, with one win from Catalunya too. Can he emulate the Aoki World win from the last 2 years for the Japanese make? Or has their attention been distracted to the 500cc class? The ever-smiling Noboru Ueda goes into battle on a Honda 2 and should be watched. Only once last year did he fail to score points. Dirk Rowdies is another veteran that can't be written off either. 1993 saw him raise the 125 title, so he's certainly not out of the running yet, even if some of the other riders are 13 years his junior. And Honda's surprise could come from Masao Uzuma, who was a wild card at the Japanese Grand Prix last year and did well in his only appearance. He is backed by the factory and has the reputation of being as fast as the best of the famous Japanese kamikaze train. Aprilia versus Honda concentrates the attention, but the Yamahas have Huichi Wee and Yoshiaki Kato with their assistance from Yamaha Germany in the Kurtz team. Wee had flashes of brilliance last year, including pole at Catalunya, surprising everyone, but he's come from the Japanese minibike series, and that shouldn't be ignored. Haruo Aoki started there. The 125s will, as ever, be entertaining, with a pattern emerging as the season goes on. Their racing is brilliant, with so many different people in line for a race win every time we go to a new circuit. Certainly the best way to start proceedings on a Sunday at a Grand Prix circuit. Don't miss this season's FIM World Championships. You've seen what they promise in all the classes, so be ready for the kickoff. Rendezvous in Shah Alam, Malaysia from Friday, April the 11th onwards.